Hi freaks, my name is Matt, and joining me are my two best friends, Nathan and Sue. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the 1981 horror, An American Werewolf in London. And Sue, this was one of your picks.
Yes, I did.
It's one of your all-time favourites, I take it?
Yeah, it's the first film that I saw, the first horror film that I saw.
Oh, wow.
I was pretty sure I was about 7. The first horror, so you always have a nostalgia for that film, which does make it difficult to know if you're, generally good feelings about something is based in memories and nostalgia or a genuine response to the film. But yeah, that's why I chose it. Stay away from the moors.
So this was written by John Landis. He started working on the script in 1969, but shelved it for almost a decade. So Nathan, what did you think of the film?
Okay, I thought it started off really promising with the walking along the moors and setting the scene of the guys just sort of in the dark in Scotland. Kind of creepy, not knowing what's out there in the dark. The attack's really good. The special effects really good as well. But then it just sort of, for me, it lost it a fair bit halfway through. It ended up being not so much just suspenseful horror, but horror comedy, which I'm not a huge fan of, and to me it just dragged for the rest of it.
So normally I don't really like horror comedies that much, but I actually quite liked the humour in this. His friend with his wisecracks made me laugh all the way through it. I love Griffin Dunne. I think he is excellent in this, and he's probably my favourite thing in it. I like his character. I think he's funny, and I think he's a good actor. I've seen him in other things. I think he's good.
I thought that Alex, that she was probably the weakest of them. But I think it was more the writing and the way the character was written. I don't think she was a strong character. But I also think because of the American and the English, that sort of... the two cultures sort of up against each other tend to clash. So I think maybe that's why it sort of put me off as well. Like the American actors seem more brash, and the English actors seem more poncy. So I think that sort of worked against the film as well for me.
But at the beginning, it sort of worked for it though, because it was these two guys in, well, not a completely strange country, but in a different culture as well. So I thought that was quite effective in that they were very much fish out of water, but then for the rest of the movie after that, yeah, you're right, it just got a bit sort of wishy-washy, and I think I agree with you. It just sort of made the Americans seem more brash.
Yeah, I can see that. But like at the beginning, that was part of the charm of it, to see them react to the differences, but then it became more of a clash and just showed up the differences in a way that was a bit more uncomfortable, I guess. I mean, it's funny because certain things in this film, obviously when I'm a kid watching this, I just totally accept it, whereas now as an adult I'm thinking as if she'd just take this strange guy home to live with her. Bullshit. Like, I just don't accept that. But I can take it with a grain of salt because it's that film and it's old and it happened and whatever. Whereas if they brought out a film now where that happened, I'd probably really arc up about that. Like, that's just silly. As if that would happen. Like, he's so charming that she's going to take him home to live with her. He could be a serial killer. And particularly when he starts to show signs, and at the end when she's like, I love you, I'm thinking, you've known him 3 days.
So when people think of American Werewolf, they think of the amazing werewolf special effects, and Rick Baker won an Oscar for this film.
You've never seen anything like that before. There was no morphing, no computer effects or anything, just seeing all the hairs grow and arms and legs and hands grow and his face grow as well. It's the same guy, I think, who did the effects for Michael Jackson's Thriller video. Am I right there?
And same director. Like, he saw this film and then went, there's Thriller right there. I'm going to hire John Landis and Rick Baker. So, yeah.
Basically, they recreated the movie and put it to
pretty much, yeah. But imagine being the audience then. Like, they haven't seen anything like that. That would have been shocking to see back then, I think. I remember finding that really, blew my mind. Like, how did they even do that? So I can see why it won the Oscar. And that scene, obviously, I mean, most people know that scene.
So really liked the ending There was some really good cinematography in the end with some point of view shots as well, which weren't that common back then, and that was pretty suspenseful as well. That was also one of my highlights.
It was a very sudden ending, though, wasn't it? I always remember it being a very sudden ending, but every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, it's done. And I don't know why I'm always taken unawares, but I am.
And Sue, what do you think are the best moments of the film?
For me, the best moments are the opening sequence in the moors. I think is one of really super effective and probably one of the best werewolf attacks I've seen on film, because the way it was filmed, the way they look so frightened and the way it's built up works perfectly for me. And their dream sequences, I think they're really amazing and really good, and add something unique to this film. And they scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. The dream sequences really freaked me out.
For me, like, my favourite bit was not one of the scarier bits, but where he wakes up in the zoo and that whole thing where he's got the balloon and
the naked man stole my balloon.
Yeah, I thought that was quite cute. Like, I liked that part of the film. I thought that the whole visual aspect of the red balloon, you know, being that he's after blood and waking up in the zoo was quite an amusing scene. So, are we ready to give our final scores on the film?
Sure.
And seeing as Sue chose the film, Nathan, why don't you go first and give your score first?
Okay. Overall, I would give it a 7 out of 10 because, yes, it had some pretty amazing set pieces and some spectacular special effects, but overall, I still found it an effort to watch. The special effects, and for me, I'd rather watch the special effects and some of the basics of this movie rewrapped into a short 15-minute movie with Michael Jackson song. I'd much rather watch Thriller.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree. I've given it the same score. I've given it a 7 out of 10. I feel like it feels kind of dated, especially the amazing special effects they now do, while still being impressive. They do feel a little hokey, especially not so much the transformation, that still looks good, but I found the actual werewolf attack on the moors looked a bit Muppetish for my liking, and same with the werewolf at the end stalking. I felt that seemed a bit too animatronic, and like we discussed, the pacing feels quite dated now, so I think it's a 7 out of 10 for me. So Sue, what's your score?
Watching it now, if it came out now, I probably would give it a 7, I suppose. That's really hard, though, because I really want to say 7.5 or 8, but I'll stick with 7 because there's things I would change. For me, like we talked about, the Jenny Agutter character needs a major overhaul, and because she's the only female character in it, that has to bring the score down a bit for me.
Yeah. Is this a classic werewolf movie?
I think so.
Yeah, it is.
I definitely think so. I think you can't get more classic werewolf than An American Werewolf in London. This is the one, I think, that set the benchmark, and like I said before, I don't think that this has been surpassed. I think I'd love to see someone try to take this on and make a werewolf movie for today's audience with the CGI and including... Like, I think we're now at a stage where, I mean, if you look at the new Star Wars, for an example, they have learned that you can't rely solely on CGI, and that mixture of practical effects and special effects is what works the best. And I think that's what would really work best for a modern day werewolf movie. So someone, come on, go out there and make it. So what do you think of American Werewolf in London? Do you think it's a classic? What score would you give it? Let us know in the comments below, or comment on Facebook, or connect with us on Twitter. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye, freaks.
Bye.
See ya.